Prata smarami hridhi samsfuradaatma-tattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptim avaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangaha Tapo bhikshina papanam Shantanam vitaraginam Mumukshunam apekshoyam Atmabodho vidhiyate Bodhonya sadhanebhyo hi Sakshan mokshaika sadhanam Pakasya vahni vajnanam Vina moksho na siddhyati. Hari Om. Welcome back to Gems of Bhagavad Gita. We will continue our discussion on chapter 16. We had begun chapter 16 yesterday and spent a good part of last class yesterday talking about the shift between chapter 15 and chapter 16. And now we will continue. We had started with the first 3 verses of chapter 16, which talk about the qualities of the divine. The name of chapter 16 is Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. Daiva means divine. Dev. Dev ke gun wala. Asura means demon. Sampad means nature. Sampad comes from Sampatti. Sampatti means wealth. What you possess. Your nature. Your nature is your wealth. Now, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing is a different thing. But it is your wealth nonetheless. Sampatti. Vibhaga Yoga. The distinction between them. So yesterday, as I said, we will first cover 26 qualities. We will first cover 26 qualities of the divine. And we started with the first 9 in chapter 16, verse number 1. And we didn't get much far. We only discussed the first quality, which is fearlessness. I'm not complaining. I think it is a very, very important concept. So the first quality he begins when he talks about a divine person. Who is a divine person? See, whenever we study any of these qualities, it's very hard hitting. What is the first quality? When we study who is a true Jnani, what is the first quality? I hope at least somebody can remember. What is the first quality of a Jnani? Humility. The first quality of a Jnani is humility. Amanitvam. Amanitvam, adambitvam, kshartirarjava. So, amanitvam means humility. That's the first quality of a Jnani. Why? Someone who has knowledge, if they lack humility, they're not knowledgeable. You can possess all the knowledge you want, but if you lack humility, what you possess is not true knowledge. Similarly, what's the first quality of a Bhakta? What's the first quality of a Bhakta? Adveshta sarva bhutanam. Not hating any being. Adveshta. Adveshta means not hating. Sarva bhutanam. Any being. You may say, I don't hate so many people. I love all these people. There are few exceptions. Few exceptions. That is allowed, no? No, I'm sorry. If there's any being you hate or you possess some kind of hatred for, see, having a preferential love is it's very easy. It's rather easy to have preferential love. It's universal love that is the tough cookie to crack. So, who is a true Bhakta? One who has no hate for all beings. If there is any exception, Dilli abhi dur hai. Similarly, so See, all these qualities are complementary. Now he's talking about the qualities of a divine person, someone who's been on the spiritual path and evolved. What is the first and perhaps the most important marker of evolution? Just as for a bhakta, the most important marker of growth in bhakti is adveshtam. The first and most important quality in jnanam is amanitvam. The first and most important, perhaps, quality overall when you see a divine person, when you see a spiritually evolved person, is abhayam, fearlessness. If you are fearful by nature, if you're easily afraid, it's an indication. See, fear to sabko aata hai. आप किस तरह से संभाल पाते हो? That is the question. How easily are you able to control your fear? How easily are you able to, with your own conviction, with your own knowledge, try to keep it aside? What kind of reassurance are you able to offer yourself? That speaks volumes of your spiritual evolution. So the first quality of a divine person is abhayam. And yesterday we discussed the five reasons, the 5 causes of fear: ignorance, destructiveness, attachment, selfishness, and this feeling of otherness. This feeling of otherness. One of these 5 causes, when present in you, will give rise to fear. And we quickly concluded by how the spiritual journey, on the spiritual path, you conquer each one of these. You conquer your ignorance. You turn conscious and aware of the existence of others. You, if not constructive, you at least stop being destructive. You learn to cultivate the spirit of detachment. You turn your selfishness into unselfish and selflessness. And you develop a feeling of oneness for one and all. You conquer your otherness by developing a spirit, a feeling of oneness for one and all. When you do that over a period of time, the extent to which you achieve this, to that extent your fear will be conquered. To that extent your fear will be conquered. So continuing with our discussion of these qualities, the second quality of a divine person, complete purity. Complete purity. Sattva samshuddhi. Shuddha means purity. Sattva samshuddhi. Complete. Purity is the absence of dirt. Purity is the absence of negativity. Not only outwardly, not only physically, even inward, even inner purity. As you evolve spiritually, what does it mean? You become more and more aware of what is the stuff within you, what are the thoughts and feelings within you, and you make a conscious choice to eliminate what is not helpful, to eliminate what is destructive, to eliminate what is negative. So as you grow, you achieve greater and greater purity. What results is a calm and peaceful mind. That's all. What results as a because of this purity is a calm and agitation-free mind. You're not a victim of the modifications of desires, kama, krodha, lobha, moha. You're not a victim of this. Sattva samshuddhi, jnana yoga vyavasthita. Jnana yoga, knowledge and yoga. Steadfastness, complete steadfastness in jnana yoga. Dhrita. For a divine person, this path is not a casual path. This path is not a part-time pastime. Anything important to you, you don't take casually. Forget spirituality. Anything important to you, you don't take casually. If your job is important to you, you don't take it casually. If it's not important to you, you do it when you feel like doing it. You don't do it when you don't feel like doing it. When something is important at the job, you will keep everything aside and do it. Of course, you have other compulsions for making it priority. So wherever there is priority, there is steadfastness. Wherever there is priority, there is steadfastness. It's not a casual approach. So this consistency on the spiritual path, what does it mean? A divine person understands the purpose of this path. He's not on this journey simply to get a momentary pleasure. Or he's not to get temporary solutions of life. He's here for the deeper search for truth. And the deeper the search, the greater the steadfastness. You can't say, I'm going to be steadfast. This is a result. It's a consequence. It's an effect. Your steadfastness on any journey is an effect of how much you understand the importance of that, how much priority you give that. So it's not something you can just decide, okay, from today, I'm going to be steadfast on my spiritual journey. It doesn't work like that. The more you realize how important it is for you, the more you realize that your house is on fire, you will make every effort to run out. Take what is important and run out. Your house is on fire. Do you realize it or not? That is the question. You are living in an illusory world. That's what the sages are saying. You are living in an illusory world. Do we understand the depth of that or not? What you are experiencing is no different from the dream world that you are experiencing. This waking world that you have created is no different from the dream world you were experiencing some time ago in your sleep. Do you understand the depth of that statement? And when I say you, I include myself. I doubt it. When you understand the depth or the extent to which you understand the depth of that statement, you will completely dedicate your life to trying to find the solution to it, to try to get out of this. You will automatically have steadfastness. Nothing else will be more important than this. But now what happens? See, I'm not complaining. It's not about attending these classes or not. How important is this subject in your life? How important is this study in your life? How important is this discipline in your life? That only you can answer. So steadfastness in knowledge in yoga, not having a casual approach to this, not doing this because everybody in the society also, all your friends are also in a Gita class, so I've joined a Gita class. That may be the reason you come in. I'm not complaining. I'm not criticizing anyone why they came in. I keep saying this. It's not about why you came into the class that matters. What matters is why you are staying here. What matters not is why you came. What matters is why you stay. Hopefully you have found the depth in this subject. It has grabbed your attention to make you stay here, to grab your attention. So steadfastness in knowledge and yoga. Dhanam, charity. Dhan bhav. A spiritually evolved person has a charitable disposition. A charitable disposition. A charitable disposition means someone who's always willing to help, willing to support, and acutely aware of the needs of others. Someone who's willing to part with what he has for the sake of others. So first and foremost, it indicates a sense of detachment to one's own possessions. On the other hand, it indicates an acute awareness of the needs of others. Always at your service. Always at your service. Whenever you call me, whenever you call a spiritually evolved person, they will be ready to support you. A charitable disposition. So charity doesn't mean giving up everything. Charity is not something that comes out of an emotional impulse. A lot of people, they feel pity and then they give impulsively. We are approaching chapter 17. And in chapter 17, he expands on this topic of charity. He expands on this topic of dhanam. What is sattvic dhanam? What is rajasic dhanam? What is tamasic dhanam? Basically, what is right kind of dhanam? What is right kind of charity? And what is wrong kind of charity? Beautiful. We'll come to it when we cover that portion soon, maybe in the next season itself. Deshe kale cha patre cha tad dhanam satvicam smritam. That which is given to right person at a right place at the right time. Meaning what? Charity is not a impulsive kisi ko bhi de diya, because you're feeling sorry or sad for them. It's deeper than that. Sometimes, even if you're sorry for someone, just indiscriminately giving to them is not helpful for them. Is it giving to the right person at the right time? Kale. And is the right thing given to the right person? Deshe, kale, cha patre cha. So we'll discuss that in detail. But the point being, there is a willingness to help and an awareness of the needs of others. A spiritually evolved person has the spirit of charity. So develop this awareness. That's what we have to work on. How can I be of service? Develop the attitude in life. How can I be of service to you? How can I help you? How can I use my skills and my abilities and what I possess to support another in need? Damah, self-restraint. Dam. देखिए जरा किसमें कितना है दम. देखिए जरा किसमें कितना है दम. What is dam? Dam is not only your physical ability. In fact, dam more than your physical ability to withstand. It's your mental ability to withstand, to restrain, to control your mind. To what extent are you in control of your mind? Your mind will throw up all sorts of emotions and desires. See, self-restraint, Dhamma, does not mean self-denial. It doesn't mean you don't listen to your mind. It doesn't mean you deny your mind. It doesn't mean you're a Hitler with your mind. Self-restraint means you decide what to give the mind, not the mind decides. You are the master, the mind is your servant. You are the master, the mind is your servant. The mind is a great servant, but a terrible master. If the mind becomes your master, even God cannot help you. But if the mind becomes your master, if you become the mind's master, who was the mind's master? Who had an army? Prabhu Shri Ram. Prabhu Shri Ram had the Vanar Sena. Vanara, monkey, is representative of the mind. The monkey is representative of the mind. Why? Because the monkey is asthira and chanchal. The monkey is asthira and chanchal. It's always hopping around from one place to another. It can't stay still. That's the mind. The mind can't stay still. It's all the time very naughty. But if you keep it under your control, if you bring it under your control, just as Prabhu Shri Ram brought the Vanara under his control, they can be a great army for you. On your spiritual journey, your mind is a great servant. The depth of emotion, of inspiration, all the pure emotions of the mind can take you far on your spiritual journey. But those same emotions, if out of control, unregulated, undirected, in the absence of a buddhi, in the absence of knowledge, it's a terrible, terrible thing. Any desire out of control, a desire for food, a desire for sensual enjoyment, a desire for even emotional attachment, it wreaks havoc in your life. Your feelings of affection towards a person can be the greatest tool for your relationship. But your feelings uncontrolled, unregulated, are the greatest curse. Same feeling of affection when given a higher direction, when regulated, when guided by the intellect, that affection turns into such a beautiful thing. That affection turns into such a beautiful relationship. But that same affection, when uncontrolled, it turns into terrible, terrible attachment. Terrible attachment. So you have to develop your buddhi to regulate and moderate the mind. Damah. Your capacity for your intellect to regulate and moderate the mind is called dhamma, self-restraint. That restraint to you are the master of the mind. So a spiritually evolved person is one who has dhamma. He is not a boring person who doesn't have any feelings, who doesn't have any emotions. In fact, he is one who has dhamma, who has complete control over his mind. Next one, yagnya. Yagnya is not charity. One second. There's a typing mistake. Yagnya, sacrifice. A spiritually evolved person lives a life of service and sacrifice, dedicated to his higher goal. Where there is a higher goal, there will be yagnya. Yagnya is not possible without a goal in life. See, remember we discussed in chapter 4, हमने यज्ञ की ऊपर काफी चर्चा की थी. यज्ञ क्या है? यज्ञ is not simply a havan kund. That is symbolic of what is a yagnya. In a yagnya, what is there? There is a havan kund. The havan kund represents your field of activity. Your field of activity could be your business, it could be your family, it could be society, it could be anywhere. That field of activity. And in that field of activity, that's what you worship. That's the deity, the fire. The fire is the deity that you worship. So what do you worship? What do you worship? Do you worship material success? Do you worship knowledge? Do you worship evolution, spiritual evolution? What do you worship? So what is that fire that you worship in that Havan Kunda? And in order to, what you worship is your goal. What you worship is what you're trying to achieve. And in trying to achieve that, it's not only your contribution. Everybody around you has to offer their contribution. What is that? The ahuti you offer to a yagya. And with that spirit of collaboration, with that spirit of cooperation, you offer the ahuti and the fire kindles and you worship that fire. So that yagya bhav is the spirit of service and sacrifice towards that fire, the deity, your goal. It's like, people think yagya means giving up everything. No, that's not what yagya means. In a yagya, you have a strong, clear conviction, a goal in life. So a spiritually evolved person is one who has a strong conviction for spiritual evolution, for samadhi, for moksha. That's what he has a strong conviction for. And in order to achieve that, he dedicates his life to the spirit of yagya. Everybody's got to do their part. Just as in a yagnya, everybody brings some ahuti to offer. Everybody has to do their part. Doing their part with no extra grant. Doing what you're supposed to do towards your goal to the best of your ability. To the best of your ability. Whatever comes out of it, you accept it. However the fire kindles, you accept it. You pray to it. So your focus on your role and responsibility, doing it to the best of your ability. All of these are yagya bhav. So that's what is packed into this word, yagnya. A spiritually evolved person has this yagya bhav. Swa adhyaya, the next quality of a spiritually evolved person. Swa adhyaya. Again, if you all remember chapter 4, he talks about the different yagnyas. He talks about the different yagnyas. What is the highest yagnya in life? What is the most important yagnya in life? He says it very clearly in chapter 4. Swadhyaya Jnana Yagnya. The self-study towards gaining knowledge is the highest yagni in life. So here, naturally, swadhyaya is an essential quality of the divine. It's an essential quality that they have to cultivate. Swadhyaya is your conviction to lift yourself. See, people think, oh, if I'm only studying for myself, isn't it selfish? You're giving me all of this knowledge and I'm just doing it for myself. Isn't it selfish? When you gain knowledge yourself, when you gain these virtues and these qualities for yourself, when you develop this clarity in life for yourself, you become a lighthouse. You become a lighthouse. You become a source of inspiration, a source of strength, and a source of guidance for others. They'll be able to follow your example. You're not doing it just for yourself. You're not doing it for your selfish reasons. With this, you'll be able to help others. Without this, what will you help? Without this, what will you help? How will you give people solution to their problems when you yourself lack the knowledge? You'll be merely giving your opinions. You'll be merely, or you'll be sulking with them through their problems. How will you provide them solutions? Until and unless you lack, until and unless you have the knowledge yourself. So that's the purpose of Swadhyaya. It's not just, you're not studying out here in this classroom just for yourself. It's not selfish. Of course, you're studying because you have to grow. And as you grow, you'll be able to support others on their journey. So don't worry about helping the world. First, help yourself. Once you'll be able to help yourself, once you help yourself, you'll be able to help others. That's the idea. So Swadhyaya, Tapah, austerity. Austerity, Tapah means a self-imposed discipline. At every level, at the physical level, at the mental level. A self-imposed discipline. What is to be done, what is not to be done. What is helpful, what is not helpful. What is productive, what is not productive. How much to talk, how much not to talk. Austerity of speech. Again, it's a practice led by the intellect, led by the buddhi. So spiritually evolved person is one who possesses this austerity. He's acutely aware and conscious of his physical activity, his mental activity, and maintains that discipline. Maintains that discipline day in, day out. Arjavam. The ninth quality in this verse, Arjavam. It's an incredible quality, and it's a quality which perhaps we all struggle with. That capacity to be straightforward in life. That capacity to be straightforward. Say things up front, not make stories around it, not try to beat around the bush, as they say in English. Don't beat around the bush. Say it directly, say it clearly. Say what you feel. That capacity to say what you feel, that capacity to not mix your thoughts and present them in a convenient way. That complete honesty, that complete lack of hypocrisy, no hypocrisy. See, many times we are not arjavam with even good intentions. Many times we are not arjavam because, we think that, sugarcoating things is helpful, or we think that, not speaking our mind is helpful. One on this journey of spiritual evolution is straightforward. No white lies. He says what he feels. It doesn't mean he says whatever he feels recklessly. You can't take one quality and just see it in isolation. Or you say, Aapne to kaha tha that he's straightforward, he says what he feels. No, there's another quality we'll discuss later. It's called gentleness. He says what he feels, but gently. He says what he feels with an awareness, with a sense of empathy. So it doesn't mean he's, brash in his straightforwardness, but not needing to unnecessarily mislead or hide. That capacity to be straightforward in life. It's a beautiful quality. You give people a clear idea of what you think and who you are. Otherwise, we are always trying to appear. We are always trying to appear something like something in the eyes of people, in the eyes of others. No filters. No filters. No faces, no masks. You're not going to people with masks trying to appear a certain way in depending on who you are meeting. No, it's all straightforward. It's all clear. Who you are, what you feel, what you think, what your beliefs are, what your ideas are, what your opinions are. Arjava, uprightness. And we continue with our discussion in verse number 2. There are more qualities to come, and we'll take all of them one by one. We'll take all of them one by one. There are 26 of them. So we'll discuss 11 more qualities. 11 more qualities. Maybe we won't finish the entire list today, but we'll start with it. We'll start with it in verse number 2. We'll chant it together. Ahimsa satyamakrodha tyaga shanti rupaishunam daya bhuteshva loluptvam ardavam rira chapalam. Ahimsa satyamakrodha tyaga shanti rupaishunam daya bhuteshva loluptvam ardavam rira chapalam. Ahimsa, satya, akrodha, त्याग, शांति, निंदा न करना, सब जीवों से दया, लिप्त न होना, कोमल, सुशील, छिछोरेपन से रहित. 11 qualities. Harmlessness, truth, absence of anger, renunciation, peace, absence of calumny, compassion for all beings, uncovetousness, gentleness, modesty, absence of fickleness. We're giving you so many options. This is a buffet. This is a buffet. Pick whatever you want. What happens in a buffet? So many options you have. Whatever you like, you pick. Whatever you like, you take. Whichever quality you are inspired by, and there can't be none that you're inspired by. If there are none you are inspired by, then even Bhagwan Krishna can't help you. Which quality sings to you? I'll give you an example. You know which quality sings to me? There's some out here, but definitely one is Komala, something I struggle with. Being gentle. Komala. Compassion for beings. Sab jivo se daya. So which quality are you inspired by? You make that your gospel. You make that your gospel. You say, forget everything else. Ye quality mujhe develop karni hai. That's it. Make it your goal. Make it your New Year's resolution. Whatever. You don't have to wait till New Year's. You can start today. Today is the New Year. Harmlessness. Ahimsa bhav. Harmlessness. Ahimsa doesn't mean non-violence. Please. Ahimsa doesn't mean non-violence. People have taken ahimsa to mean something very cowardly. Depending on the circumstance, violence may be necessary. It has nothing to do, ahimsa has nothing to do with violence or non-violence. That's what we're saying. We're not saying be violent. We're saying ahimsa has nothing to do with violence or non-violence. Ahimsa bhav is that spirit of harmlessness, that spirit of non-injury. आप कभी किसी को दुख या दर्द नहीं पहुंचाना चाहते हो. That's not your end goal. You don't want to hurt the other person. You'll try your best to not injure them. Not only physically, even in thought, even in word, even in, you're not wanting to think ill of another person, because that negative feeling is also an injury. That negative feeling is also an injury. You're not even wanting to speak ill of the person. You don't want to even hurt them with your speech. See, people claim to be ahimsa. People claim to be ahimsavadi, but sometimes words can hurt more than cut off a blade. To what extent do you have control over your vani? To what extent do you have control of your vani? If you don't control your vani, you can't be ahimsic. So if this is a quality you're inspired by, you will have to cover all angles. You'll have to cover all angles. Sometimes you have to be cruel only to be kind. Sometimes you have to be cruel only to be kind. Sometimes being arjavam, being straightforward may hurt another person, but ultimately it will help them. Sometimes hearing the bitter truth will help the person. May hurt the person immediately, but it will help them. So that doesn't mean that you lie to another person. Ahimsa, harmlessness, doesn't mean that sometimes you have to hurt. You are not hurting. They are getting hurt because of their own misunderstandings, because of their own wrong understandings. You're just rectifying their understanding. They're getting hurt in the process. But once they come out of that hurt, there'll be a clarity, there'll be a growth, there'll be a liberation for them. So don't look at the short-term impact. Harmlessness means your vision, your end intention. What is your intention? So ahimsa is at the level of intention. You can't control how another person reacts. That's not in your control. What you can control is the manner in which you convey what you want to convey and your intention. So having the purest of intentions, that is ahimsa bhav. Satyam. Satyam. Just one second, excuse me. Satyam. Satyabhav. That complete alignment to truth. Satya at all levels. See, all of us, every human being has within them a conscience. A conscience. A conscience which is aligned to the truth. When we are not aligned to the truth, the conscience pricks us. We feel guilt. When we are aligned to the truth, we are calm and peaceful inside. Now, depending on the number of, your mind, essentially, your mind covers the conscience. It blocks the conscience. It veils the conscience. It suppresses the conscience. Your mind's feelings and thoughts and desires. When there is a very strong desire, you become almost indolent. You don't want to listen to this voice within you. Your mind suppresses the voice of the conscience. So many people, most people, because of their desires, because of the agitations of their mind, they are suppressed the voice of their conscience. But it's there, deep down. The more you evolve spiritually, the more you eradicate the desires of the mind. Chitta vritti nirodha. The more you remove these agitations of the mind, the more and more the conscience will be available to you. It's right there. It's just covered by layers and layers, like clouds. So, complete alignment to the conscience. And the more you evolve, the more the conscience will be available to you, the more you'll be constantly reminded of not to take the path of falsehood, not to take the path of mithya. See, you can't force someone to be truthful. It's not possible. So you may wonder, how can these people live like this? How can they live a lie? How can they lie to themselves? See, we come across many terrible, terrible people. The answer is their conscience is completely suppressed. We get affected. Instead of getting affected, I would feel sorry for such people. They are so far away from the truth. They are so far away from the truth. On the contrary, a divine person is one who has complete alignment with the truth, who doesn't give in to falsehood. Even if he doesn't want to acknowledge something, even if he doesn't want to follow something, even if it's hard for his mind, he'll stand with the truth. Rock solid. So we'll continue our discussion on these qualities. We don't have enough time to complete this verse. We'll continue our discussion on these qualities in the next class. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7 a.m., same place on Zoom. So with that thought, keep contemplating on these beautiful qualities. Hari Om. Tat Sat. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.